we need to also mention the announcement that they are making a new Lord of the Rings movie.
Yes.
Lord of the Rings, The Search for Gollum.
Yes.
Which is being written and produced Peter Jackson and Fran Walsh and being directed, and the lead star is Andy Serkis as of right now.
Yeah.
So this is going to be that part in the book that takes place when Aragorn and Gandalf go out looking for Gollum because they know he knows who has the ring and they want to stop him before Mordor gets a hold of him.
Yeah.
And that supposedly is what this is. So that brings up the question, well, who the fuck are you going to cast as Aragorn and Gandalf?
Yeah.
Because they both look the same as they did in Fellowship when they were looking for Gollum.
And not only that, according to our Lord of the Rings expert, Kelly, Viggo hasn't signed on for this project.
How could he? He's old now.
Yeah.
He's 20 plus years old, 25 years older than he when the first movie came out.
So now you're recasting on top of trying to do a full reboot? I don't know, guys. I think Sleeping Dogs lie at this point.
But I don't know how this could be a reboot. Like, this is an addition. This is
Yeah.
kind of like what they tried to do with The Hobbit poorly.
But this is what I'm saying. What makes you think that they looked at The Hobbit
Yeah.
and they said, we can make an entire franchise out of this children's book? What makes you think that they aren't going to look at this one passage and say, we could turn this into a 3-movie franchise?
See, I think the problem with The Hobbit is I don't know if it was I think it was the studio that really pushed for a trilogy.
Yeah, well, originally Del Toro was going to do it and be 2 movies.
It was going to be 2 movies, yes. I think the studio is going to have less of an impact on it because they see what happens when even though all 3 Hobbit movies made, gazillion dollars, they were all very successful.
Yeah.
This is a singular movie. I have faith in Andy Serkis as a director.
Mm-hmm.
So
Let There Be Carnage is Let There Be Carnage.
It's terrible, but I will give him that's just Sony interfering with this shit.
I mean, it's always hard to say whose fault it is at Sony.
Yeah.
You know it's a
But I look at
producer's
like
fault.
Mowgli.
Well, this is what I'm saying. It's
okay.
like when you see a creative person come into Sony and then they make a bad movie, you're like, now was it the creative person or was the production?
See, I'm thinking it was Sony. So
It's
I'm hoping
almost always the production.
I'm hoping that you have Peter Jackson and Fran Walsh not getting over their skis like they did with the Hobbit trilogy, where Peter Jackson should never have directed it. He should have just found a different director.
Mm-hmm.
They should never have put it to 3 movies, and now they've learned from those mistakes, and they're going to just put all their focus into making this great as the first 3.
Yeah.
That's my hope. I am terrified.
I don't think it's going to work. I'm extremely pessimistic.
I don't think it's going to work just because of the casting.
Well, not only that, according, again, to our expert Kelly, there has already been a version of this story out online as a fan film.
Yes,
that
got
is
taken down and
extremely
put back
good.
up. Yep.
And that now, I guess, WB is trying to post a cease and desist.
Well, they had, as of what I had read last, they had posted it and it was taken down, but then it was put back up.
Well, like, the other thing is, this fan film has been out for years.
Yes.
Just because you're going to do the same property now, you're going to say, get off my
And I
lawn.
think that's why I put back up.
Yeah.
Is because people are like, dude.
This is bullshit.
It's,
you can't.
And they're not charging for it. They might be making money off of advertisements that might be linked to it.
Well, you can't post-drop decide, hey, and like, it's one thing if it drops and then like 2 weeks later, you're like, hey, cease and desist. If you spend years, there has to be a line of demarcation where you coulda, you didn't, it's gonna still. So like that's my thing.
Curious. I'm very curious.
I'm curious. I think if Rings of Power had been better, I would be more excited.
Yeah.
The fact that we haven't, in my opinion, had a good Lord of the Rings property since Unexpected Journey.
Yeah.
That's over 10 years now, and it's not like they haven't been trying. There have been 3 incredibly well-budgeted attempts, and I did not love any of them. I came out of all of them extremely mixed.
And I agree with you 1,000% on that. And my hope, though, is they're going to fix that this summer when the Hobbit Life Sim game comes out. It's supposed to be like Animal Crossing, but with hobbits.
Yeah.
That could be amazing.
Oh.
That could be soaking all my life into that.
See, I hope that's good.
Kelly if it's done well.
Kelly is so excited for it. It looks really, really good.
Wait.
I hope it's really, really good. I'm still going to go back and then point to, hey, you remember that Gollum game that came out?
Oh, I think it was terrible.
This is what I'm saying!
Yeah. But no, the Gollum game was a terrible idea. To make like an action game with Gollum is terrible idea. To make a farming sim in the Shire where there's no fighting and all that.
Well, but this is the point. That is a good idea.
That's a fantastic
That's a great idea. is making this movie a good idea, or is this trying to fit a square peg in a round hole where you're like, no, we can make this work. We have the talent, we can make it work, when ultimately it's Gollum fighting, monsters. Not
the
literally,
sad
but
part, when this movie does come out, I'll be in my 50s.
yeah, well,
That makes me want to cry, because
Yeah.
it's at least 3 years away.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
this was just the announcement.
Yeah.
It's at least
They haven't even
at
cast
least
the damn
3 years.
thing.
No, yeah. So we got a little bit of ways.
They probably don't even have a full script.
And we're going to be talking about a lot of the cast too when that comes out.
Is faking Isildur's death as a end of season 1 cliffhanger a good idea?
That was fucking so dumb.
I don't know.
That was so stupid.
I don't know.
That was so dumb. All right, so we got to move on. So I'm going to briefly touch on this. My son and I have been watching Knuckles, which is the Paramount Plus, I think it's 9-episode series based on Knuckles from the Sonic and the Hedgehog movies, voiced by Idris Elba, which is great. And I got to say, it is, especially if you're a fan of the movies, it is really well done. It is
Okay.
They're short episodes, but they're funny.
30
they
minutes,
have good
15
about 30 minutes.
Okay.
They're funny. They have good action sequences. Really entertaining. Great for kids. They have an episode that's like a rock opera, and it's fucking awesome. Like, it's because it revolves around. I'm losing on his name right now. I'll have to look it up. It starts in Green Hill.
Oh, fun.
And in the first 2 movies, James Marsden's character is the police chief, and his deputy is Wade Whipple, who's this like bumbling guy. This movie revolves around Wade Whipple wants to go to Reno, Nevada to be in a bowling tournament because his dad, played by Cary Elwes, who's awesome, really hams it up, kind of like Bill Murray and Kingpin.
Yeah.
His dad abandoned his family, and so he really wants to go and outbowl his father and kind of show that he's a man.
Okay, yeah.
But he's a bumbling idiot, and his sister is a bumbling idiot in the FBI, so she's always like considering him lesser because she's in the FBI. And his mom is played by Stockard Channing, who's awesome. She's great. She plays this, this little old Jewish woman who you think is weak, but then you realize she's been taking Krav Maga. And so when the bad guys show up, it's her and Knuckles beating the shit out of them when the kids are not doing anything. It's pretty awesome.
Tangent. Stockard Channing also plays another thing that I've been watching, Batman Beyond. She plays Commissioner Barbara Gordon.
Oh, weird.
In that.
Interesting.
For the first
I did not
season?
know that.
I think just the first season, and then somebody else comes in. But
very interesting.
Just throwing that.
So it's pretty much his journey from being this bumbling idiot to going to Reno, and Knuckles is like his sensei who's trying to teach him to be a warrior.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's really entertaining.
So it's
like,
another road movie kind of thing.
It's so good, and you really don't necessarily have to see the movies. You just need to know that Sonic and Knuckles are on this planet now, and they're living together.
Yeah.
And Tails, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then you see Sonic and Tails in the first episode. We haven't the last episode's coming up. We haven't watched that yet, so I'm assuming you might see them again. But it's just so well done.
A lot of the promos started with Sonic and Tails on a couch.
They're about half in the first episode.
Yeah.
But it's really fun. So if you want to see a fun show and you like the movies, you'll really enjoy it. And go Paramount Plus. I'm still thumbs up for you, even though you might get bought out, which is terrifying.
I credit where credit's due, because they produced If, that John Krasinski Imaginary Friend movie, and Ryan Reynolds is in that. We have Mint. So Ryan Reynolds sent to all of his Mint Mobile customers, I think a free 6 months.
Oh, that's awesome.
Paramount Plus. And I was like, all right, yeah, cool.
Dude, that's amazing.
Cool. Yeah,
Go Paramount
do
Plus.
it.
All right, so 2 big things I have to talk about. First, we're going to save the best for last. So my son and our MCU journey.
Yes.
We've watched 2 more movies. We watched Thor Ragnarok, and we watched Infinity War.
Thor the Good Thor.
I didn't like Thor Ragnarok this time as much as I did in the past.
Uh-huh.
I still love Jeff Goldblum.
I have no problem with Jeff Goldblum.
Because it's just Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
Like, he unapologetically is playing himself, but he's so fucking entertaining and lovable.
Yeah.
That I just loved every minute he was on the screen. The whole over-dramatized, like, the comedy's the comedy. Some of it really still lands, some of it doesn't. The over-dramatization of every action scene is so ridiculous. Like, they make such a big deal of every action scene where you're like, okay, I understand it. It's a big deal. There's
a lot of posing.
Oh my God. I will never love this movie because of what they did to Scourge.
I know. That was one of my things.
They did to Scourge what they did to Thor, Thor Love and Thunder.
Yeah. No, this has always been my thing, is there's a few issues I have with this movie. One, I think you need to have a better villain on Sakaar than the Grand Master.
Yes.
At least somebody that you can fight.
Yes.
There has to be a physical embodiment. Beta Ray Bill, Bybee. We see so many people on that placard. Anybody. Literally anybody. Planet Hulk has so many things that you could be doing, and you're doing none of them. Thank you. Great. None of them? Cool. Quick tangent, not a big deal. I find it annoying that Meek and Korg have switched places.
Yes.
I don't like that.
I don't like that either.
It doesn't work. I think it would be funnier if Taika Waititi played Meek.
Yes.
And Korg was just the big
that was
silent
another
guy.
thing, because if you watch even the animated Planet Hulk,
Meek is the talker.
Meek is the talker. He's the one.
But Meek just becomes like this joke where it's like, what's Meek's gender? What Meek's pregnant? Meek's a teacher. This sucks.
Yeah.
This sucks. Especially since you already established Korg's people in Thor: The Dark Thor.
Yeah.
So, fine, whatever. These are nitpicky things compared to how does the God of Thunder get tased?
Yeah.
What the fuck is that? That's always been a problem.
That was dumb.
I've seen it more online now, and I'm like, this is only just bothering now?
Yep.
Really? Because this has bothered me the whole fucking time. Why is Scourge a joke?
Oh my God.
For the whole thing.
And what makes it worse is not only is it a joke, you got Carl fucking
Carl
Urban to play him, and you're making him a joke. It's are you fucking kidding me?
Carl Urban and Cate Blanchett working together, and this is the best you could come up with? This.
And to be nitpicky like you are nitpicky, the way he uses M16s from somebody who's used one, that's not how M16s work.
That's not how that works.
They're not fully automatic machine guns like that.
Last of all, I hate Thor's just total ambivalence to his homeworld. Where they keep on saying that he's supposed to care and that he doesn't want Asgard to fall. All of his friends die and he doesn't care.
Yeah.
Lady Sif goes missing and he doesn't care.
Yeah.
Now remind me, did Scourge die at the end of this movie heroically?
Yes.
Okay. Because I was about to say
she does a big spike through his chest.
Oh, okay. Because that's, again, another stupid thing.
Yeah.
Where you're going to take a character that could be interesting, you turn him into a joke, and then you kill him off as a joke. What the fuck is the point of this?
It made no point. And it's like Cate Blanchett was a real, I did like her performance.
She gives a really good performance.
Really good. And you could have put Scourge as her number 2,
this is what I'm saying.
A badass motherfucker like he is.
He's a giant fucking guy.
Yeah.
He gives Thor a hard fucking time.
Yes.
And if you're going to basically rip off the Enchantress and make her Hela, combine them into one character, which is an interesting choice.
Which is, I can live with it.
It's fine. I'm not going to go into it. You know, it's a little gamey at times, but it's fine. It's fine. Whatever. Then why do you have Scourge?
I don't get it.
Because the point is that the Enchantress is a magician and Scourge is the muscle.
Yes.
Right? So if you have Hela be the muscle and the magic, then why do you need Scourge?
Yeah.
The Judeo-Christian artwork.
Oh my God.
What the fuck is this doing here? Why is this here? Why is this a thing? Just so many moments. Oh, you did Fenrir? Great. Awesome.
Yeah.
You still never did Baldur, you idiot. So how am I supposed to be excited that you did Fenrir when you never did Baldur?
And Baldur the Brave.
Give me a fucking break. What are we doing?
But and I agree with you. And the scene that really stood out to me is there's the scene when Hela first takes over Asgard and she gets confronted by the Asgardian army and she kills them all. It's like, that's when Scourge would step in and kill them all.
Including the Warriors 3.
Including the Warriors 3.
Yeah.
Which she quickly dispatches two of them.
They brought Zachary Levi and
Ray Stevenson to get killed in a second.
Immediately.
Like, not even putting up a fight.
They don't have a line of dialogue. They don't raise their weapons.
No, they both have one line each.
Okay.
But it's a stupid hey, who are you? And
exactly.
it's dead.
They're immediately dead.
Oh, I was so mad.
And it's just what the fuck is the point of this?
Mad.
And then Thor doesn't care that all of his best friends are dead. And that all of his people are dead and maligned. And he's just worried about Hulk and going up Satan's anus.
Yeah.
Cool.
Great. And it's
I'm so glad that we couldn't take anything seriously. I'm so glad we couldn't take even this seriously. There's not a single moment that we can take seriously. You might as well call the Rainbow Bridge God's dick.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go ride God's dick. And what the fuck is the point of this?
It was so dumb. It was so dumb.
Yeah.
And then this rolls into an issue that I am going to take up with Infinity War and then Endgame. So Valkyrie and every Asgardian is on the ship at the end.
Yeah.
When it gets boarded by Thanos. and he blows it up. How the fuck does she and a bunch of Asgardians get to Earth?
They never say.
They never say.
I think they imply that there were like escape pods at some point, but like we're talking movies later, like way after the fact.
But even that, it's like, why were there still so many Asgardians that died then?
When we show up Endgame and there's a new Asgard, I remember being like, since when?
And there's literally thousands of people in New Asgard. It's like, how? There wasn't that many on the fucking ship.
Since when?
I didn't
Where
get
did all
that.
these people come from? So, no, I agree with you there.
And even if they escaped, Valkyrie wouldn't have escaped with them.
Yeah.
She would have
would've
stayed with Thor.
Like, we needed a scene where Thor told Valkyrie, no, I need you to take these people and make sure they're safe. Or something. There's nothing. There's absolutely no explanation.
Or even when okay, so we're switching over to Infinity War now. When Thanos beats up Hulk, she could have like crawled over to Hulk, who's beat up, and then Heimdall would have sent both of them to Earth. And then you're like, okay, well, that's at least how she got off the ship. And then you could have said that wasn't the only ship off of Asgard. There were other ships, or there were other Asgardians on other planets that all made...
I've always thought we needed a scene that goes in between the end credit sequence in Thor Ragnarok and the beginning of Infinity War. We need a scene where Thor turns to Valkyrie and says, I don't know if we're going to survive this. I'm going to take as many warriors and people who are ready as I can, because I know most of them are civilians at this point. I'm going to take anybody who's willing and ready to fight. You take everyone else and go.
Yeah.
Or Heimdall sends them away. Or something. Anything. Literally anything. But the fact that there's no explanation.
That's a huge missing
Valkyrie
piece.
is nowhere in Infinity War. She's never mentioned. She's not a character. She's nowhere. It's not even like she's in the background. She's literally nowhere. And not nowhere with a K. Nowhere. And that has always bothered me.
Yeah.
Because
and it really stuck out this time to me.
it's one of those things where it's like, okay, yeah, I can make up what happened. But in all of this, with all of everything that you've put into this and all of the reframing and everything, you're not gonna settle this in any way. You're just gonna leave it up in the air, and then suddenly Valkyrie's back in 2 movies later, and she has all these Asgardians with her, and it's been 5 years. And where the fuck were you?
Yeah. And that's the thing, is you have Thor, Heimdall, Loki, Korg, and Meek is injured, so he's not. So you have those fighters.
We also don't see Korg and Meek.
Exactly.
So where are they?
How did they get off the fucking ship?
They also got off the ship sometime.
But
they would be useful in a fight. Where are they?
Like, Thor and Loki had no idea who it was, what ship showing up. So it's not like they're going to just automatically evacuate till they know what they're dealing with. But then also, Valkyrie wouldn't leave. She's the second strongest behind Thor, really. I put her above Loki as far as, like, fighting strength.
That's why I can see Thor entrusting her with the people. If there was an evacuation, I could see Thor turning to Valkyrie and saying, I need you to take these people and go.
But what I'm saying is, there's still enough on there that they show dead.
Yeah.
That you either send, there's got to be other Asgardians that could run a civilization.
But none that we know.
None that we know. But I mean, you can't tell that those are the only ones that have half a brain in that whole place. But I don't know. It just made no sense to me. And it was kind of, and it took away from that beginning of Infinity War, which I've always enjoyed, where now I'm like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
It really doesn't.
Yeah.
Thor, I already said I didn't like as much.
Infinity War was your favorite. Now, is that no longer the case?
Well, it was always back and forth between that and
Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier, after watching them both again, is back on top.
Okay.
With a bullet. Like, there's nothing even close to Winter Soldier as far as quality, acting, story, all of that. It's still the best. I liked Infinity War a little less.
Yeah.
And it's because, same thing as Black Panther, I started noticing the Marvel method coming through a little more this time, because I'm watching it more on a critical scale.
Yeah.
Because I've seen it enough times where I don't get in awe. The only scene I still get in awe of is when Captain America grabs Thanos' glove and Thanos kind of gives him a look like what the fuck
are you doing?
That was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Everything else, like even Thor arriving at Wakanda, I used to love that, but then it's like the Marvel method. Like, here's the Bifrost and the X is flying out of the Bifrost, and the Bifrost doesn't disappear until the X comes back to him. I'm like, that's
Shouldn't
real
the X
fucking
be channeling the
stupid.
Bifrost?
Exactly. It's channeling the Bifrost, not Thor.
Yeah.
So as soon as they landed and the X came out of it, Bifrost should have disappeared. And everyone's like, there's fucking Thor. But they had to make the big arrival. And it's like, the big arrival, that should be byline of this movie. Marvel Infinity War, the big arrival. Because every time someone arrives, it is the end-all, be-all of everything.
I did like that. I still look back on that with very fond memories because I still love the moment when Cap shows up out of the shadows at the train station. And I still love the moment when Black Panther says, get this man a shield. And
I mean, those are cool and all, but like even the part where Cap shows up, and I love Cap. Scarlet Witch and Vision are about to get destroyed, and then the bad guys are like,
who is that over there?
And the pause is like, you could have killed them by the time the train went by, and then figured out who the fuck that is. It's like, and on this planet, there really isn't anyone that can legitimately take you on, especially one-on-one. The most powerful, I mean, so far what they had seen, the most powerful one was Scarlet Witch. Because they injured Vision, who would be up there, and they were beating the shit out of Scarlet Witch. So it's like...
Now, we're just talking Corvus Glaive and Proxima Midnight. We're not talking about all of them, or if they had...
No. Just those two.
And we're assuming they haven't done any Batman-style pre-gaming, where they're going to study up and see who...
See, I don't think any of them did it, just because they were so arrogant. And I do play that off in the comic book, so I kind of like that, where they come to Earth like... I don't give a fuck what you think your powers are. You're nothing to compare to me. Which kind of made the whole death of the Maw kind of lame again with the whole, have you seen this really old movie? I fucking hate that. I want to blow my brains out if he says that one more time.
Every time he says it, it makes me so angry.
And it's like...
I'm glad that you're finally saying, like, man... I'm not finally.
I always thought it was annoying, just not to your level.
Yeah, but I feel like you're coming to my level.
Oh, I'm coming around. So it was just like, there was just too much at, like... The first time you see Spider-Man. The first time you see Iron Man was fun because you see him and you haven't seen Pepper. Well, you saw her briefly at the end of Homecoming, but you hadn't really seen her since Iron Man 3. So having her, and it's like, that's a fun interaction, and having Doctor Strange come through and Bruce Banner. I enjoyed that, and I enjoyed them coming together. I did kind of take a little bit aside to the nonchalantness of Tony when they're first explained to him Thanos and all that, and the Infinity Stones. It's like, the whole part of 3 is him coming to grips with the depth of everything that he doesn't know about. And here they're telling him about these universe-destroying stones, and he's like, let's just throw them away. And I was like, I don't think Tony would have done that.
Especially with how scared he was in Age of Ultron and in Iron Man 3. Of this extraplanar threat. Beyond anything that they could do.
And knowing that Thanos already has 3 stones, and he's literally the most powerful being in the universe, and he's kind of...
We can't put him down the garbage disposal?
Yeah, that was like, I didn't love that. Like, I'm like, I know you're trying to keep playing off his character as a wisecrack.
This should be something that he takes seriously the whole time.
He does take shit seriously in the comic books, but he doesn't in this fucking movie.
He stops joking. That's how you know he's serious. And scared, frankly. And I agree with you. I do think the Marvel humor here is a little better most of the time. All of the time.
Well, yeah, it's still not a fun movie, which I do appreciate.
For, at the end of the movie when we have all these big fights, there's a few moments there that aren't really funny where you have Okoye being like, why wasn't she here the whole time? But you also have like, I am Groot. I am Steve Rogers.
Which was awesome.
I like this.
It had a lot I still love. It's still number 2. On my list.
But I agree with you. I will never get over Etrian Nidavellir. It's Nidavellir, guys. It's whatever way they're pronouncing it, it's Nidavellir. Nidavellir. That's how they pronounce it. Nidavellir. I like bringing in Peter Dinklage to play Eitri. I don't like this version of Eitri.
No.
Just kind of got nothing out of this whole element of the story. What was the point of all of this? It was to make Stormbreaker, but it wasn't because it's Ybrungnir, but it's not, even though it should be. Fuck off. These things that drive me crazy.
But that was part of the Marvel method thing where it showed, Thor's gonna die. No, he isn't.
No, he's not.
Everyone's gonna die in Wakanda. No.
And another thing. Why did you cut out Thor's eye if you were immediately going to give him a
Exactly.
new
He looks
eye?
awesome with the eye patch.
What's the fucking point of this?
Let him have the fucking eye patch.
And then he looks like Odin. Like,
Yes.
that's the point, is that he has fully taken over for Odin, eye patch and all.
Yes.
What's the fucking point of this?
And then they overdid that joke in this, because I appreciated it when Rocket first meets Bucky, and he says, "Oh, I'll have that arm." That was funny. If they didn't have the, "Oh, I stole that eye from it," and it's
you might want to wash it first.
you keep playing off this joke. "Oh, I stole the eye and shoved it up my ass again." And it's like, dude, it's not funny when you do it too much.
Yeah.
And like the part in Wakanda was funny because you're like, you know damn well he is gonna find a way to get that arm, but Bucky's the winner goddamn soldier. And
Yeah.
it's like, that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
But you already fucked it up because you said that joke twice
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. You know what they should have done at the end of the movie when Bucky dissolves? His arm stays behind. Did you notice that Bucky's arm dissolves with
It
him?
dissolves.
Doesn't
Yeah,
make
it
any
shouldn't.
sense. It shouldn't. It should stay behind.
Yeah.
You know, because it's an artificial arm made out of vibranium.
Yeah.
I guess Black Panther's suit also evaporated with him. So if we're getting clerical
Yeah.
about it, clothes and everything went too. But like,
And I thought for a while that Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was official downfall of the Guardians. Remembering now after watching this, it was this movie. Because you have X being an idiot
Yeah.
more and more.
all the time.
You have just unbearable fucking Peter Quill.
yeah.
Like he really amped it up, the unbearable factor in this. Like, he had a couple moments that I enjoyed. I wish they would have leaned more into the serious moments. You know, this one they had the Drax, "I'm moving so still.
Slow, you can't
Oh my
see
God.
me. And just all that dumb shit.
Oh, it's so
Every
bad.
time he opens his mouth, it makes me so angry.
Yeah.
And like, this was before Mantis was anything, so she is still nothing. She has no character. She has no anything to this plot. She is just another body to throw at Thanos. And so many bad decisions when it comes to. But you know what, Steve? I have faith because Kang Dynasty is only going to get even bigger.
No, it's gonna be a nightmare.
We're only going to add even more characters to this
Who
fiasco.
knows what the fuck it's going to be called now? We never know. Yeah, so Infinity War, you know, it went down a notch. I think I had it as a solid A. Maybe an A minus now, just
Yeah.
because some of the things have not aged well.
I get that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because in reality, this was the third Avenger movie, and the second one let everyone down so much
Yeah.
that the quality of this made me overlook a lot.
Yeah.
But now that I've seen all of the rest of the Marvel movies and going back and rewatching this, I'm like, okay, I'm seeing some more things. I'm cringing to watch Endgame.
Yeah.
Because I already wasn't a massive fan of that movie, and now seeing it again,
Yeah.
I'm not excited.
I've
I've only seen Ant-Man and the Wasp once, so we're going to rewatch that because it has to come up next.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to see how I take that because I've only seen it once, and it's been years.
You can tell me how the ghoul looks with his whole face.
I don't want to tell you.
Walton Goggins. He's
know.
in it.
Yeah, I know
he's
he's
in
in
it, playing a funny guy.
I hate that. I don't want you to think about that. All right, so we got to get into the big one now.
Yeah.
The big one was last week on Saturday for the 25th anniversary on May the 4th. My son and I went in episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Same theater I saw it in 25 years ago. Here's my takeaway from this.
Mm-hmm. It's a bad movie?
It still is a horrible movie. Like I'm sorry. If you stick up for the movie by saying it's a good movie, like as far as how it's made, you have no credibility with me. If you will say, listen, I understand it's not perfect, but it's Star Wars. I saw it when I was a kid, so I have a lot of fond memories. I can live with that.
Fine, we can agree.
Yes.
You have to put in the nostalgia handicap, though.
It is
You did-
so bad.
You did not golf a 0.
Yes.
Okay? You have to put in the handicap.
There are two things that I'm glad that I saw it in the theater.
Yeah.
One, pod racer scene on the big screen, still thrilling.
Yeah.
I remember the two times I saw it in the theater, when it first came out, I thought, holy shit, seeing that scene on the big screen, that is the only part of the movie where I'm like, I really fucking enjoy that part. It's so well done. It looks better because it wasn't a digital print. It was the original
the film
print.
stock.
It was film stock. And you can tell because it has a graininess to it
Yeah.
that actually helped it. Because I think part of the problem with Phantom Menace on 4K on a TV is it looks so clean and too clean, and that brings out a lot of the issues with the CGI, to where having it a little grainy and it was a little darker because of that, it kind of softened some of the special effects that it wasn't as jarring.
And this also was before everything was digitized.
Yes.
There's still a lot of practical effects put together in a computer.
Yes.
But like the one that I always go back to is the waterfalls in Naboo are still made out of salt.
Yep.
So like it's not all Sims and stuff. There is actual filmmaking being here, and then it's all read into a computer, and then the computer puts it all together, and then George Lucas says, "I did it! Look at it! It's great!" And I say, "No, it's not, George.
Yeah.
No, it's not. You ruined everything, George. God damn it, George."
And I would say this to anyone who's a fan of this movie. I want you to really watch some very well-made films, especially sci-fi films. Watch, Blade Runner 2049. Watch the original Dune. Hell, even the sequel. Watch some of the modern, really top-notch sci-fi bangers. And then go back and rewatch it. Think to yourself, if you took out references to Star Wars from this movie...
Yeah.
It would be as bad as the Rebel movies, which we still haven't seen the second one. I've heard nothing but horrible things. But it is so poorly made.
Yeah.
It's shocking that it has like any kind of resonance. Like it truly is, the only resonance that for this movie is just the name and the characters.
Well,
1,000%.
Well, like this is my thing, is that some children would like to rewrite history and say, no, let's look at it this way. This is a good movie because of X, Y, and Z. And also I was 5 when I saw it, and so I really like it, and I would like you to not pick on it anymore. And then there's the rest of us. We've talked about this on the show before. I'm going to talk about it again, because if you haven't seen it, you got to see it. The People versus George Lucas. Please.
Please
see this documentary.
Great documentary.
Please see this documentary.
One of the best documentaries.
Because it goes through the whole of the actual story. Why was this movie made the way it was? Because no one stood up to George and said, hey, I don't think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
They gave George full control over everything, including writing and directing, which back in the 70s they realized was a bad idea.
Yeah.
So now George has control over everything and can do whatever he wants, and no one is telling him no. Okay, so that's a problem to begin with. But also on top of that, you have the fact that the audience was so hungry for Star Wars. They wanted it so bad. We all did. I remember, because I was there. Quote Chris Berman, I was 10. I wanted to see it. I was so excited to see Star Wars in the theater. I was so happy. I enjoyed watching it. I still remember the moment when the long time ago in a galaxy far, far away came up, and people got really quiet, and then the big bah, it came in, and people raising lightsabers and cheering and so much excitement. Everybody was that way. Nobody wanted to hate this move. Nobody wanted to come into it and say, oh, new Star Wars is bad. Everybody wanted to say, no, it's good. And then we spent 20 years studying it. No, it's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad.
I mean, and even back then I wasn't a Star Wars fan, and I saw it 2 weekends in a row just because I'm like, I want to like this.
Yeah.
And I've given it every opportunity, and it is so fucking atrocious.
To me, it always comes back to people who argue, because when you said the pod race, right? The other scene that people are like, oh, you know what's all really good and people don't give it credit for? Duel of Fates. The fight between Darth Maul and Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. Here's the thing. If you look at that, and you look at where anybody's swinging, nobody would get hurt in the entire fight.
Yeah. Because
the entire thing is so rehearsed and orchestrated in such a way so that you can tell none of these blows would hit.
Yeah.
And it looks cool. It seems cool. The music makes it feel cool. But if you actually break the thing down, all of it is stupid and pointless.
And once again, the whole scene starts with my least favorite part of the movie. It's they come face to face with Darth Maul, and there's 20 people with blasters. And two Jedis.
A bunch of jets. Don't forget there's a bunch of jets.
And they could have just shot him.
Yeah.
And everyone would walk away. And they're like, no, we're going to take out our lights. He didn't have his lightsaber out. He couldn't have opened it up in time to stop all the laser blasts.
Well,
it's
then
like,
you jump out of the way, and then you do fun, cool acrobatics.
Yeah,
and
then
you
do
slice
something.
a bunch
But at
of kids
least
in
make
half.
a point of like, dude, shoot the fucking guy. It's like Indiana Jones was going against the sword fighter. It's like, dude, just shoot the fucking guy.
The whole movie is Jake Lloyd. At the time, everybody was like, oh, Jake Lloyd's terrible in this movie. No. The whole movie is this.
That's
the whole movie, guys.
Because guess what? Natalie Portman's terrible. Liam Neeson's
terrible.
Bad.
Ewan McGregor is bad.
Yeah.
You know who's not bad? Ray Park.
Yeah.
The only guy who's not terrible
And
in that
it's
movie
not
is
his
Ray
voice.
Park. And it's because he doesn't talk in the entire fucking movie. The one scene where he does talk, they took it out of the movie.
Yeah. They put a different voice.
And
But it's like even the end of the lightsaber scene. Once again, you introduce force speed in the opening scene.
Never used
and
again.
then Ewan McGregor does not use force speed to catch up to them.
Not only that, it's never used ever again,
Ever.
anywhere in the entire saga.
Nope.
Ever.
Yep.
Ever.
Yep.
That's insane. That's what a crazy person does.
And there was way too much of the I'm going to kill 3 droids with my lightsaber, slowly put away my lightsaber, and then reach out and force push 3 droids that weren't shooting at me. It's like there was 4 scenes, I believe, where that happened, and you're like, really, dude?
Yeah, and this is, again, we talked about Dave Filoni before. Like him or hate him, this is what Dave Filoni brings, is the fight scenes feel more dynamic.
Yes.
Feel more authentic to what we imagine Star Wars to be instead of what Star Wars has become. And, I always go back to George Lucas would have us have Anakin and Obi-Wan having this force fight where they're just trying to push each other over. Oh, I can't do it, and it's just hands in the screen. This is dumb. No one is impressed. Nobody likes this. If you do, I have a lot of questions. And I would also like you to not put your opinion anywhere, because I don't want it to be taken seriously by anybody, because this is dumb. This is palpably dumb. You look at some of the more modern, like I remember Star Wars Rebels. For as many problems as I had with some of the elements of that show, the fights in that show were really good. Ahsoka, kind of hit and miss.
Yeah, they had some moments.
But again, what's the thing that breaks it? Changing how the Force works.
Yes.
Whenever you change it, it never goes well. We know. We knew for 20 years how the Force worked. We knew. And then
Midichlorians.
one guy came in and was like, hey, hang on a second. And now it doesn't matter. Anything can be the Force. And it's
so dumb.
It's worse than Superman rules.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just, why is this a thing?
It's so dumb. It was frustrating. Like, you once again, it's not by far the first time I've seen this movie dozens of times.
Yeah.
It's just, it's frustrating every time you see it, because you're like, this could have been this was an opportunity for George Lucas to really do a bang-up job, and he just fucked it up so bad.
I'm trying to think of like a young action movie. If you had like, not the Wachowskis because they weren't well known enough, but if you had like a John Woo or somebody who can direct action, who's doing the actual directing, and then you have someone who's doing the actual writing for the thing. At that point, it probably would have been like Joss Whedon or somebody. I feel like you could resurrect this because, again, when I was a kid, the Clone Wars was the thing we kept on hearing about, and it was so exciting. It was just an exciting idea. And then it's like, oh, they're going to do the Clone Wars. Oh, this is going to be fucking... No! Somehow it's bad. Why is it bad? Guys, why is it bad? I don't get it. This is a great idea, and it's bad. How did you do it? You got to tell me.
I don't get it. Yeah. So that was my adventure.